The following is the story of a 15-year-old girl. Their child is identifying as a gender different from his or her biological.
Were either bi, trans.
Sage Lily. The author, her adopted mother, who happens to also be her grandmother, wants the world to know what is happening to vulnerable trans-identified children like her daughter. After Sage's harrowing experiences became public, a bill was introduced into the Virginia legislature, House Bill 2432, or Sage's Law. It would have required schools to inform parents if their child is identifying as a gender different from his or her biological sex, or is a suicide risk. The bill failed at the committee stage.
I am the grandmother of a 15-year-old girl, Sage Lily. I adopted Sage when she was just shy of 2 years old. Sage and I live in Virginia with my husband. Sage started going through gender confusion in 8th grade. To that point, she was a straight-A student who enjoyed playing piano and writing poetry. At her small school, as Sage informed me, all the girls were either bi, trans. At some point, social influence overcame her. She advised her friends and teachers that she wanted to be trans and that Sage would no longer be her name. She requested to be called Draco and referred to as a boy. The school obliged, since Virginia, by law, requires that students be affirmed by the school staff. Unfortunately, the school did not tell me, her legal mother, about any of this. I was left in the dark. I wish I had known. If I had known, this would have been a much different story. In August 2021, Sage started 9th grade at the local high school with her trans ID in place, unbeknownst to me. She was bullied and became extremely vulnerable. Soon, she was exploited online, a fact I did not know about until later. On August 25th, she ran away from home. I immediately notified the local sheriff. Her case quickly escalated, and the FBI and U.S. Marshal became involved. Sage had been sex trafficked from Virginia into Washington, D.C., and then transported to Maryland. The FBI and Marshals found her in a locked room at the home of the abuser at 10 p.m. on September 2nd. They called me to let me know, and to inform me that I could pick her up the next morning to bring her home to Virginia. I was told she needed to stay the night at a detention center, as she was being treated at the hospital and needed a rape kit completed. I was frantic, as you might imagine, and distraught that I was not allowed to see her right away. I arrived at the detention center bright and early the next morning. However, once there, I received surprising and devastating news. Sage was now being represented by a juvenile attorney and would not be allowed to return to Virginia with us, and I would not be allowed to see her until a court hearing could take place. And on top of that, my husband and I were going to be investigated for abuse because we called her Sage and not Draco, and used female pronouns in reference to her rather than he, him. Abuse charges were filed against my husband and myself, and Sage was put in the boys' unit of the children's home, where she was again abused. Following this, she was placed in a private room. Again, I was not advised that Sage, with a female body, was placed in a boys' unit. So now my traumatized child had been kidnapped, sex-trafficked, and sexually abused again while in the care of the state, rather than returning to her loving home to rebuild. Instead of the trauma care that Sage desperately needed when she was rescued, she was manipulated, and our family was treated unfairly. Instead of getting the help she desperately needed and deserved, she was fated to experience even more pain and suffering. After an investigation by both Maryland and Virginia DSS, the abuse charges were determined to be unfounded. Yet Sage still was not allowed to come home. Instead, she was put on center stage to push a political and gender agenda for a Maryland public defender with clearly no knowledge of trauma caused by sexual exploitation of a child. A typical 14-year-old is emotionally immature and struggles with many issues. Sage had additional issues on top of these normal concerns, as she had experienced severe trauma before the age of 2. Now, with this new trauma of being sex trafficked, she was even more vulnerable. Despite therapeutic residential programs in Virginia that were willing and able to accept her, the Maryland public defender attorney said Sage could not go because of the trans identification, and the Maryland juvenile court judge agreed. On November 8, 2021,
Maryland judge finally released Sage to a facility in Virginia. This was immediately appealed the next day, going against the interstate law for custody, and Maryland continued to retain custody of my child, hoping to place Sage in a foster home in Maryland. Why? Because I called her Sage, her legal name, and not Draco. In this case, it was simply because my husband and I forgot, because certainly desperate to get our child back, we would have done anything, including using the name Draco. Now our abused child, the victim of a federal sex trafficking crime, was being sent to a foster home because of gender ideology. There is no way to interpret that this was in my child's best interest. To make matters worse, one day on November 12th, Sage did not return to the children's home after school. She had run away again. Law enforcement, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, and the FBI were all notified. At that point, I could only hope and pray that Sage was not back in the hands of the predators. I prayed she was still alive. Everyone should have been looking for her. Instead, the Maryland appeal remained active, and the attorneys were focused on using her to establish case law for transgender individuals. This attorney went so far as to advise my child.
Don't miss part 2. Subscribe now.